Let's have some real talk today about what it's like to be a distracted homemaker and then make practice to be a more focused homemaker. Somebody who can finish a task, who can finish their thoughts, who can feel like they're making progress on their home. They're building some personal disciplines that feel really, really good and just building a more peaceful home for the people they love, right? It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight for anybody ever. But for every discipline action, there is a multiple reward. So we're just going to talk about what is it really like. I have 6 kids, 12 and under, so I get what it's like to feel very spread thin. And also, I feel like I have some ADHD tendencies, some struggles sometimes with the executive function of the brain. And so I can walk into a room and forget why I even came in there. I can start a task and get interrupted 2 minutes later and just feel like I'm not quite making progress. But when I think back to like the days that I have that are far better, that feel a lot better, these are the commonalities for those days. These are the reasons why I feel like those days feel like winners, and I feel more focused on those days as opposed to the days that I'm like, what the heck did I do? And it just all felt willy-nilly and it doesn't feel good. So let's talk about that today. Hey, my name is Lana. It's Girl Teach Me. This whole channel is just to help you on the mama journey, to help you be a more intentional mama, to level up a little bit. If that resonates with you, I hope you'll stay and hit subscribe. So I want to tell you about the Fall Reset Challenge. My whole goal is that you will feel like you can stop white-knuckling motherhood, that you'll get to trade the chaos for a rhythm that you can actually keep and have a home that has way more peace. So it's going to be part challenge, part rhythms, part coaching. We're going to do 4 live coaching calls, and you guys are going to get to ask your specific questions and kind of tailor it to what's specifically going on in your life. And so this is all that I've learned from being a mom of 6, but I'm also going to be inviting some of my mentors on the live coaching calls. I want to help you step out of burnout and get some real support in this 30-day challenge so that you can get some just repeatable rhythms, you can get some community, and you can just get a renewed sense of confidence in your calling as a mom. So I've been studying a lot of discipline this year. It's been something I've gotten very, very passionate about and really just been saturating myself in that because I have really come to believe with all of my heart that God is in control of everything. I'm a Christian. I believe He's sovereign, and yet I believe that He gives us free will, and He wants us to flex that free will, to grow in that free will, to grow in our decision making, to learn to become wise and make wise decisions. And part of not being a distracted homemaker and being a focused homemaker is having the discipline to make the right decisions and to follow through with the right actions. And one of the quotes I love, and I say it all the time, is, for every disciplined action, there is a multiple reward. That multiple reward is often way bigger than that disciplined action. I kind of think about like putting a seed in the ground, and then what grows is infinitely bigger and better than that tiny little seed, kind of like an oak tree. Plant the acorn, and lo and behold, what is it? How many years later, there's a huge, massive oak tree. It's like that in our lives, but we have to keep at it. We have to keep at it with that disciplined action, because without that, we're going to suffer from the law of diminishing intent, where we mean to take action immediately while the emotion is high, but the intention fades. And that is where that distraction piece is really, really tricky, because we might get really excited about something and then boom, the law of diminishing intent happens and the emotions are gone. And so the action, it diminishes or it never takes place. And so I feel like what has been far better as a homemaker is to significantly shrink what I am trying to accomplish and significantly increase the margin in my life so that I have the ability to focus. So a couple of ways that I've done this. Number one, I got rid of my smartphone. So instead of having a smartphone, I now have a Wise phone. It has a distraction-free screen that's just very plain, very basic, and it only has a couple of functionalities and a couple of apps. I did this because I knew I was already struggling with distraction. I was already struggling with my phone use. So instead of trying to rely on willpower, I was like, you know what? I know that the emotion is high right now. I know that my kids have told me that I need to get off my phone. And while the emotion is high, I'm buying this phone. Well, the first phone I got was a light phone. It sat under my bed for like 6 months. And then after that phone broke, I knew that I wanted to move to something that was a little bit more handy. So I went to a Wise phone. But all to say, that has helped me significantly staying focused. The other thing is just starting to say no more often. And the line I really like for saying no, that is very kind but very clear, is no, I don't think that's going to work. But if it changes, I will let you know. You can use this with anybody in your life when you know that you're not giving your best yes. It's very easy to give a bunch of yeses and then very hard to back out later. It really hurts our credibility because people don't know if our yes is a yes or our no is a no. And so I think part of being a less distracted homemaker is doing less outside the home, being very careful with our yeses, letting our yes be a yes and our no be a no, but using that no, flexing that no muscle actually feels so good. And it actually is the far more loving thing to do, because what isn't loving is just being a people pleaser, saying yes, and then having to back out later. That's not loving. And that's not how our friends deserve to be treated, or our family deserves to be treated, or our kids deserve to be treated, or our husband deserves to be treated, right? We don't want to be treated that way. And so I think that's really helped me a lot. It's just that freedom to flex the no. There's actually an area of my life I feel like I need to flex the no more in, and that's probably taking hand-me-downs from friends. I love hand-me-downs. They're so fun. It's like the thrift store comes to me, but it also brings a ton of stuff into my house that I have to deal with. So that's just an area I probably need to grow in personally, is when my friends ask me, hey, do you want this bag of hand-me-downs? If the time is not right, I personally need to grow in saying, no, I don't think that's going to work right now. I think we're at our limit right now with bags I need to go through. If that changes, I'll let you know. Thanks for thinking of me. So I definitely do not have this down all the time by any means. Another thing to think about too is whenever we're doing any kind of job, we have to think about, what am I becoming instead of what am I getting? And what I mean by that with homemaking is, what am I becoming as a homemaker? Truly, I think if we're doing homemaking right, and I know there's air quotes around that, because I think there's a lot of really good ways to be a homemaker, a lot of good ways to be a mom. But if we're doing it in the right way, we should be leveling up over time. We should be managing more over time and managing it well. That doesn't mean there's not going to be seasons with newborns where we have limited capacity and all the things. Like, us being limited is actually a very good thing. There's a book I have been enjoying called How God is Different Than Us and Why That's a Good Thing. And the first thing she points out, Jen Wilkin points out, is that God is infinite and we are limited, and that is a very good thing. So with my limits, I have to accept those limits. I have limits for my time, I have limits for my capacity, and part of being a distracted homemaker is simply just trying to do too much, spreading myself way too thin, and then bouncing from thing to thing to thing, obligation to obligation, always running out the door, not cleaning up the house before I go out the door, leaving my car trashed, not cleaning up the dishes before I go to bed. Like, when I'm really in a rut, when I'm really struggling, it's because our schedules are probably too busy, and I'm not becoming my best version at that point. I'm not doing it right because I'm just running and getting super duper frazzled. So I think it's far more valuable to think about, okay, as a homemaker, I actually have the opportunity to level up in a ton of ways. I have a ton of freedom. One thing that can be kind of crippling about that freedom, though, is we don't really have a quote unquote manager overlooking our shoulder, giving us direction, giving us somebody who's going to come in and give tons of feedback. And sometimes that's hard because when we don't have deadlines for the laundry, when we don't have deadlines for the dishes or for dinner or things like that, besides a crying kid who's really hungry or whiny, or not having to get takeout, sometimes we can just fall prey to just complacency and doing less than our best. And I think what the real struggle of doing less than our best is it does something to us. It really messes with our mind when we know that we're doing less than our best. And it's hard, like I said, in a limited capacity time when we have a newborn. Those first 6 months, I am at 6 months plus with my 6th child, and I'm just now starting to get a little more sleep, get a little more bandwidth, feel like I have a little more energy for exercise. I'm still not there yet, but those first 6 months, I heard a gal from church say, if you have full bellies and clean butts, those first 6 months, you are killing it. You are doing so good. And yet we know when we're doing less than our best. We know when we're allowing our phones to creep in and screens are becoming a distraction instead of, a gift to our family. They're just distracting our family. We know when we're shopping too much and we're just using that to numb out, or using our phone to numb out. And we don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that version of myself. And so I think one thing I try to think about is success is not something pursued. It's more about the person we're becoming. When we become a more successful person, I feel like it's not the law of attraction or anything like that, or manifesting. So it's just some nitty gritty things that I do that help me to avoid distraction. One, I set timers all the time. I say it on this channel. I will say it till the cows come home. I set timers and I promise myself I am not leaving this room or I'm not leaving this task until that timer goes off. And if I am struggling with focus, I will set a timer and I will put on some good music, or I will make it more enjoyable by putting on a podcast or an audiobook. I do not do that if the kids are around because that is overstimulating to me. And that's the second thing I will say is if I'm feeling distracted, sometimes I'm a little overstimulated. The environment is a bit too much for me. And so one thing I like to do is just step outside and listen to the chimes, just really get inside of my body and clear my mind and just breathe it off. If I have the ability, if my husband's home, I do like to go for a quick walk, just a quick walk. That really helps me if I'm feeling overstimulated. But sometimes I will just go and get some quiet time in my room. Like, I just need a minute. It cracks me up when I think about Susanna Wesley. She was the mother of the two Wesley brothers, John Wesley and Charles Wesley. When she was really struggling, when she was praying, or when she just needed time with the Lord, she would put her apron over her head and they just knew not to bother her. So sometimes for me, it's just going in my room. I just need a minute and then I can come back out and give a better version of myself. But when it doesn't really do me a whole lot of good to be trying to do too much when I'm overstimulated, when the noise level's too high. And so that's when I'm trying to put on relaxing music. I'm trying to key the lights down a little bit. I'm trying to definitely eliminate as much clutter as possible, keep the surfaces as clean as possible. One thing I did recently, and this is totally random, but has been very nice, is I got hampers with lids on them. Just honestly not seeing all the laundry all the time has been very helpful to just be like, okay, now it's time to do laundry. It doesn't feel like I'm always having to do laundry. So just those little examples, but also I set a big 3 in the morning. Like if I'm really on it, I set a big 3. And those are the big 3 things I try to make movement on that day, whether I ask for help on one or I'm at least getting one of those started. Some of those, it's multi-piece thing I need to do. I at least getting started on one of those big 3, but definitely trying to have some kind of contact with the Word, with the Lord, and move my body. Those things seem to clear my head so very much. And I've talked about it on this channel before, but also one thing that really helps me with distraction is called morning pages or journaling, where I just stream of consciousness journal for 3 minutes. And I know not everybody has, crazy enough to say, the hand strength. I mean, I guess we don't write with our hand a lot anymore, but I know a lot of people, they don't like to do that. They like to write on their phone, but it definitely clears my head. And when my head is clear, I am far less distracted. Ultimately, I feel like homemaking is stewardship. I feel like God has entrusted us with a home. He's entrusted us with children or a husband, and, to show a good return on that work. And we're not going to feel like we're showing a good return on it every day, but I'm talking about over time. Over time, are we being a good steward of all that He's given us? And that starts with just being as faithful as we can today, putting our hand to the work that we can, doing a doable portion. Every day, the doable portion changes based on our energy, based on where we are with our hormones or our cycle. The doable portion is not the same every day. When we have sick kids, the doable portion is not the same. But you know how it goes. Some moments just feel like labor contractions. They feel intense. They feel like they take your breath away, and then they let up, and life can let up a little bit and we can get some respite, and that's when we can run. But just doing that doable portion, 10 minutes of dishes, 10 minutes of laundry, folding that load of laundry, putting it away, doing a 10-minute cleanup with our kids, getting them involved, coaching them. And also, I feel like having a little bit of self-respect for ourselves and just putting on an outfit. I'm not talking about a fancy outfit. I'm talking about just elevating ourselves just ever so slightly, doing our hair when we can, putting on just a nice dress or a real bra, or doing a little bit of mascara, or doing our eyebrows, something so we feel like a real person. I mean, one thing I'm personally working on right now is that when I get dressed in the morning, the kids don't ask me where we're going. I want them just to know that mama gets dressed, and I want to show them what it looks like for me to have self-respect for myself. So that's something I'm in progress on right now, but I know I'm far more focused as a homemaker when I feel beautiful, when I feel put together, when I feel like a human and not just a scrub in my PJs or my workout clothes. So I know that you probably can relate. I think a lot of times it feels like the enemy wants us to feel like we're the only one, we're the only person that's struggling with this. But I think if everybody cracked open their life, there's some dysfunction on some part. There's some distraction on some part. There's things that we don't want other people to know. But one thing I heard that I just loved is that there is our public self and our private self. And we know that our character is growing and we're becoming a more leveled up person when the difference between our public person and our private person is shrinking. When that distance is getting shorter and shorter and shorter, I really believe that we're leveling up, because who we are when nobody is looking, I mean, that's who we really are, right? The eyes of the Lord are everywhere. And so a lot of people who have moral failures, what they say is the distance between their private self and their public self gets wider and wider and wider. And so, lying to ourselves is just not going to help. Just being honest, like, hey, I'm really struggling in this area. Asking our husbands what they think. They know us better than anybody. If they see us struggling, hey, what do you think would help me with this? And just really listening and opening our minds up to a new possibility. So, or talking to like a close friend or a mentor, that also helps me too. Sometimes I just feel like I need to talk to another woman about it and get some fresh perspective. So those are just a couple of ideas to help you be far less distracted. I would love to hear your thoughts. Drop them down below. What helps you to avoid distraction as a homemaker? Your thoughts are insanely valuable to every woman who stops by, so make sure you leave them down below, and I'll see you again in the next video.
Just like iron sharpens iron, making me stronger, calling me higher.